Jordan. A spectacular move.
Big clown.
Bring it home, Kobe, baby. Oh, he came up behind him like a librarian. He never heard him.
That might be one of the craziest knockouts I've ever seen.
G'day guys, welcome back to Casual Fan Experience. Big interview today. Young Australian up-and-coming boxer, Alex Winwood. I've got Brendan here with me. This guy might just be the future of Australian boxing. Looking really, really good. How you feeling, Brendo?
Yeah, good, mate. Excited for this one. He's aiming for the world title, and he's got that in his mind. So it's exciting to speak to him before he gets there.
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. And without further ado, let's go, Alex Winwood. First off, man, thanks for getting on. Thanks for taking the time out of your day.
No, that's all good, mate. It's my pleasure to come on.
No, great. I guess let's just start straight into it. You're preparing for a pretty big fight at the moment. How's all your preparations going?
Yeah, it is a big fight. I'm obviously fighting the world rated number 9 in the WBC and number, I think, 13 in the IBF and WBA. So training's been probably just as tough as you could imagine it with such a big opponent. So I'm glad to have most of my camp done over in Vegas. Get a better position.
Sorry, mate. You just dropped out just for that last little part of that response there.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, right.
So I'm in a really good position being over here in Vegas, training alongside the Maloney brothers ahead of their world titles. So I really couldn't be in a better position getting ready for this fight.
Absolutely. And I mean, the Maloney brothers is something we're going to ask you about. Surely, training with them and alongside them, it has to just be like a wealth of knowledge for you.
Definitely. All right.
How have they been in terms of your development?
You can't buy experience. So to be able to rub shoulders and pick their brains day in, day out is it's something that you can't get other than being in their company and learning off the best.
Obviously going down weights for your next fight as well. How are you finding that? Have you done that before? Sorry, I couldn't really find that info online, whether that had been something you've done before. But
no, I've never competed at minimum weight. This is also, these last 2 fights have been my first fights back at the 49 kilo division in a fair few years. So I guess going on how well I made light flyweight at 49 kilos, I'm pretty confident in going down a weight class. Obviously, I have to be very professional about making the weight and eating the right things and fueling properly for training as well, and not just worried about making weight. So it's tracking along nicely, and I'm being very professional in my manner and attitude towards this.
Yeah, lovely.
Going back, how did you get into boxing to begin with?
So this is a story I've told a number of times now. So my coach, as an amateur, he just recently retired from the workforce, and he used to be an assistant coach down at PCYC in the town. And he just started like his own little boxing gym at the back of his house in a shed. He came down to a couple of the high schools and trying to train some boys. He was a bit bored, and came down to mine and asked if anyone wanted to give it a run as a session rather than doing sport. So after I think maybe 2 weeks of that, I liked it and all. I'd done a bit of boxing before that, but never really interested me until I seen him during the school holidays, and we bumped into each other on a walk, and he said, "Oh, do you want to come down to my house and train at my actual gym sometime?" And then I told my old man that afternoon, and a couple of days later we was there and just getting introduced to it, and yeah, I guess without my amateur coach, Brian Satori, none of it would have been possible. I didn't have the faintest idea that I wanted to get into it. But, yeah, it was just the relationship between me and him that got me into the game, and just his guidance.
Was it kind of one of those things that you kind of picked up straight away and went, oh, like I'm not bad at this, or was it take a little bit of convincing?
Yeah, like I was a bit rough around the edges when I was younger, and had a couple of scraps outside the boxing ring, and my old man thought it was probably best that I go learn to defend myself because I'm not the biggest bloke, and yeah, like I had some natural ability in terms of like speed and some power. I think I was a bit over ego, always trying to do a bit more than I really could, and it doesn't look too good now that I watch videos back on it. But yeah, I think my coach nurtured me in the right way. Going forward, like doesn't like to throw boxes in too quick, so he gave me a very good base, and I think we trained for 6 or 8 months before I actually stepped into the boxing ring for my first fight. But yeah, I think it was a pretty fast turnaround how everything happened, to be honest.
Really? What were the nerves like stepping in for the first time?
Oh mate, I wanted the car to crash or something happened that I didn't have to tell anyone that I didn't want to fight, because every time someone would ask me, I'd go, yeah, I'm excited, I'm really excited, but I just thought maybe we could run out of petrol, or there could be an accident on the freeway, and we just don't get to this fight. Yeah, I absolutely shit myself for the first 3 or 4 times, and yeah, I guess I've got a little bit more used to it over the years, but those feelings I will never ever forget.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you want to tell us about your journey to obviously the Com Games and eventually the Olympics as well?
Yeah, so I think going to the Olympics, I made my first national team and won my first Australian title in 2015, I think it is, late 2015. And I got onto the pathway to make the Rio Olympics, and I only had, I think, 19 or 18 to 20 fights or something like that, which in terms of boxing as an amateur is very, very raw. And I was only in the game for 3 years, and yeah, like I beat some really good Australian fighters, and then I got to the international stage, and they put me straight back in my place and showed me what the real competition's like on an international stage. And I obviously didn't make the Rio Olympics. Tried twice, but didn't happen. And then I set a long goal to make Tokyo, and during that time, I wanted to go to the Gold Coast Commonwealth Games. Australia didn't take my weight class, so I was ineligible to try out for that one. But I made 2 World Championships in between then. And then Tokyo rolled around, and I had a fair few more years underneath my belt, and I've went on the international scene for some time at that point, and seen all the big fellas and this and that. And yeah, I managed to make that one after going to Jordan and qualifying over 3 fights in that. And then at that same time was like when COVID just started. We was actually meant to go to Wuhan, I think 3 weeks before that, to qualify in Wuhan. But that's when all the COVID started coming out, so that got scrapped. It got changed to a different country. We waited a little bit longer. We went in there, qualified, and then got home. And I thought in a couple of months that I would be going to the Olympic Games, but that all got put on hold and the world went into lockdown, and I guess that's all she wrote. And a year later, then I got to make the big dance on an Olympic stage, and bowed out my first fight after facing Patrick Shamba from Zambia, and he went on to lose to the eventual gold medalist in the next round. And then I was almost contemplating turning pro at that time, but with the Commonwealth Games essentially like 10 months away, I just thought, well, I might as well just have a crack. I missed out on the last one, no fault of my own, but I'd love to do it and put my name back in the hat and qualified for that through the Australian Championships. And what do you know? I drew Patrick Triumber again in my first round, and I was really excited because I thought I had everything. I capitalised on what I needed to beat him this time around and things like that, and I had a really good first round. And I beat him across the board, but he decked me in the first 20 seconds of the second round, and I got back up to my feet, but the referee wouldn't let me box on, and there was a bit of an uproar about it, but I took it, shook his hand, and it's got nothing to do with him, but I just put eyes forward and thought about, hey, this isn't the end of it. I'll turn professional now and see where the real game's at.
Awesome. Just quickly back to the Tokyo, with obviously that being, as you said, the COVID Olympics. How was that experience? Like, that would have been, I guess, something different to what was expected, with no crowds and stricter sort of rules in place for what you could and couldn't do throughout your time there.
Yeah, it was it was very weird. It's essentially like when we all kind of first got let out of our homes and was going to, I guess, the supermarket and things like that. Everyone was very strict about standing far apart, wear your mask, things like that. And then we got to the big stadiums, and you could hear a pin drop, and that was probably what threw me off the most about the whole experience was walking out through a tunnel, but being able to hear your mates chat, between one another before you even get out to the stage, and it just felt like a very big glorified sparring session, really, and it made opponents and it broke people, and it was definitely something that hard to get up about sometimes.
Fair enough. Moving then to your decision to turn pro, you said you thought about it after the Olympics, but then went on to the Com Games as well. Was it a long decision, or was it something that was just an inevitable next step for you?
Sorry, say that again.
Sorry, yeah. So after, obviously, you mentioned after Tokyo, you thought about going pro then, but then to go to the Com Games. Was turning pro just like the inevitable next step, or was there a bit of decision behind it, or?
I think at that time I was kind of just getting tired of the amateur scene, and I just thought that my boxing style really didn't suit it. And to make an Olympics was my dream, and I did it, and a lot of my friends were like, all right, well, we'll stick around for the next one, this and that, and I was like, oh, that's a bit too far away for me. I don't think I have I guess the mental fortitude to stick around and do this all over again. And then I took a little bit of time off after getting back from the Olympics and went back to work and things like that. And it just kind of rolled around so quick that the Commonwealth Games wasn't too far away, and I went, well, all right, boxing's starting to, we're having fights and things like that in Perth, so I might as well give it a crack and see how I go. So, yeah.
That your first pro fight. How did you find that? Were the nerves back from earlier, or you're ready to go?
No, I think it was good because I hadn't fought in Perth for a long time, so I did like that aspect of it. There was a bit of pressure with, everyone just thinking, all right, Alex is going to win, he's going to knock him out, blah blah blah. And sometimes, like when you get on paper that it's such a mismatch that you think, it kind of weighs on the person who's not the underdog. Like the underdog gets it quite easy. But yeah, once I got in the ring, I found myself quite fast, and it was yeah, it was a fast bout. I think it went for a round and a half or something like that. And then I kind of got out and I was like, oh, well, that's the end of it. And I trained all this time and now it's over within 4 minutes. So it was a little bit disappointing at the end of it, but like I was happy to get the decision and in the fashion that I did.
Right.
Go, Pat. Sorry.
I was going to say, pretty immediate step up in competition then for you. You went straight to Metabisi, was obviously 21 and 1 or 21 and 2 or something.
Yeah.
That was, I mean, that's obviously, you've spoken pretty vocally about that being the goal, is to, you know, move up in competition pretty quickly and you know, fight for a title pretty soon.
Yep.
Talk us through that part. I know it was cancelled once, and then obviously then put back on later. Just talk us through that experience of obviously the cancelled fight and then having to stay in shape for, you know, it just to be rescheduled.
Yeah, so it was at first meant to be 3 weeks after my debut. Went straight to Sydney from Perth and stayed in shape and continued to spar and things like that, and flew over to Dubai where the fight was meant to be. And yeah, to say it was rocky going over there already, like we didn't know what was happening. They were saying, all right, you're going to compete on Saturday. It's not going to be on Friday. It's going to be on an MMA card. It's okay. Now it's pushed back. It's on Thursday. So you're going to get off the plane. And you're going to weigh in and you're going to fight the next day. And it was absolutely crazy. And then pretty much by the time I got there, and I think I was already in Dubai for like maybe half a day, and I just kind of already prepared myself that the fight wasn't going to go ahead. And then they said, all right, it's not happening. I went, all right, fair enough. I'll make lemon out of lemonade, lemons out of lemonade, whatever, however you say it. Lemonade out of lemons. And my partner was over with me, so we just kind of went on a bit of a holiday. It was the week before Christmas. It was a big effort to have a 3-week turnaround and be back in the ring and ready for a 10-rounder after only being prepared for a 6-rounder. So, yeah. And then they obviously expressed themselves in wanting the fight to go ahead at some later date, and so did I. And yeah, I'm just glad that we did get it happening in Perth in March.
Yes. Moving on, Pat obviously mentioned before you've got aspirations to challenge for the world title pretty quickly. Obviously, Jeff Fennick's 7 fights has been thrown out there. Is something that you're aiming to beat?
Yep.
How realistic is that in terms of you fighting world number 9 coming up? Where from after that, really?
Yeah, so we obviously have to get through the next opponent, and you know, he's rated in 3 of the organisation, so this could hopefully put us off within two fights of actually having a title chance. I already think that I have, you know, the capability, skills, and to a degree the experience in terms of opponents to go with these guys and beat them. I've been over here, I've been sparring really top prospects and heavier weight classes, and I'm holding my own and I'm hammering it over them as well. So, especially even just sparring Jason Andrew, you know, they're both about to fight for a world title, and you know, I've mixed it with them for the past year and a half. So, I think as long as the opportunity comes and they allow us to fight for the title, I think I'm all prepared to take it and bring it home, mate.
Yeah,
absolutely. One thing I do notice a bit interesting, obviously, about the start of, I guess, your pro career is that they're not really like a lot of obviously pro fighters when they first start. They pad their record early, right? They fight guys with losing records and whatever else very early on.
Yeah.
Even your next opponent, you know, you go through his fights, and I think he's only got maybe 1 or 2 guys that are, you know, have actually a winning record.
Yeah.
Obviously, you've come from a pretty lengthy like amateur background, like with a fair bit of experiences there. Is that why there's no sort of like worry about just jumping in with guys that, you know, have good records and are proven performers?
Yeah, I think so. You know, like to fight people with losing records and things like that. It's just taken a step back. I've proven that I'm more than capable of being here and fighting these guys, undefeated fighters, people that have, challenged for world titles before, and even my last opponent, IBO world champion. I just really don't see the point in taking a step back and fighting lesser people. I have what it takes now, and boxing is a short game, and I'd rather get in, get everything that's mine quick, and get out rather than hanging around and just being like a bad smell and just fighting taxi drivers really.
Yeah. It does look, at least from from when we watch boxing and stuff, like the Australian boxing scene does seem to be one of the best states it's been in for quite a while. Obviously the Maloney brothers, the Zoo brothers, and others and yourself. Is that something that's like as a Australian boxer, you realize there's guys across the country that are starting to do some pretty big things?
Yeah, definitely, and it's exciting. Things like this haven't happened in decades, really. Like maybe you get the odd fighter that gets on the international stage or is abroad and then doing his thing, but for so many Australian boxers to be doing it simultaneously and signing with big promotions and getting big fights and things like that, it really definitely does help get eyes on the sport, and I think boxing's been kind of yearning for that in Australia for a long time, and I guess it all comes down to the ones that have come before us, and I'm just happy that there are big names out there like Zoos and the Maloneys and that are doing their thing right now that are drawing interest, and I'm gonna leapfrog off the back of that and show everyone what I have to offer.
Absolutely. Just in regards to the fight coming up.
Oh shit.
Oh, yeah, right. Any insight into let's talk the morning of the fight. What's the routine, I suppose?
Yeah, I guess kind of wake up a bit later, adjust my body clock before the week before, and just take it easy, get some food in me, and relax probably at the hotel not far from the venue, and see my family and that, and probably walk over to the venue just to check it out, get used to the environment and things like that, and just really rest up for the day and get a lot of carb in me and just mentally focus for the night ahead.
Yeah.
No, you don't have any little pre-fight superstitions that you've got to do to make you feel like you're on. Or I know Pat and I have both played footy in the past, and not at a professional level or anything like that, but we still had our little superstitions before the game that we had to do. Is there anything you've got in that sense?
I think I used to try have some superstitions and pre-boxing rituals and things like that, but as an amateur, I've been everywhere across the world, and I've been put in a lot of different situations that some of them things just won't work, and it's hard to keep them going. So I guess that was the blessing of being in the amateurs, is I'm prepared for anything and any situation that comes up. I'll flow like water, and I'll make the best out of the situation.
Yeah, good stuff.
Absolutely. Any predictions for the upcoming fight? Obviously, W.
Yeah. No, I think he's got everything it takes to give me a tough fight, and I don't expect any less of that from him. He's the champion. He doesn't want to lose his belt, so definitely going to have to show him what it's like to be down under and drag him down to the deep end.
Absolutely. One final thing from me, I don't know if Brenna's got any more, but any advice that I guess you either wish you were given or you were given as a young up and coming sort of boxer, that if there were people that were listening that were thinking about getting into it, that you would give to them?
I think the thing that I realised over my years of boxing that's kept me in the game and got me to where I am, and stopped others from doing the same, is extraordinary things are just ordinary things done for an extraordinary amount of time. That's all it is. It's like, who can stay there the longest? Who can go to the gym when you don't feel like going to the gym over and over again, when the others just, they do it for 4 or 5 years and they go, oh, okay, this is enough. They've had their fair share of losses and things like that, but who can stay in the game the longest is going to win at the end of the day, I reckon.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, sweet.
Sweet. Do you have anything else there, Renato?
I was just going to ask, we've asked pretty much every fighter we've had on the show so far. The infill boxing scene. We've asked for opinions on that from every other fighter. What's your opinion on like Jake Paul and KSI and that sort of lot coming in and into a sport that's sort of, there's a lot of old school heads in the game still that don't like it, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's a bad thing. I think they're making their money, and they're bringing a lot of attraction to the sport. I hope that it flows on to the rest of the boxers, because if it did, then it would obviously be fantastic. But I think boxing's been like an old man's head game for a long time, and these YouTubers are really showing how to sell fights and how to make money in the sport. And I think there's a lot of boxers that are coming up that can learn a lot from them to make sure that you make your money's worth during your time, just as they have.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh well, thanks, Alex. Absolutely.
No, I appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much for having me on.
Thanks, mate.
No, it's been great. Good luck with your upcoming fight. We'll be watching. We'll be everything. So
appreciate it, boys.
Peace out, man. That's awesome.
All the best, mate.
And then we have guys, the future of Australian boxing, future international world champ, Alex Winwood. Pretty thick, Bruno?
Yeah, mate, I'm excited for Australian boxing. We've got Alex aim to become the quickest Australian to win the title. He's got to do it. He's got 4 more fights to do it. By all means, good luck to him. I hope he gets it.
Yeah, I hope he gets it too. Absolutely.
Obviously, Australian boxing is in good hands.
Great hands. Great list of talent there, and he's certainly among the upper echelon of it. So, very excited to see what he does in the coming years.
Yeah, watch his space.
Absolutely. Peace out.
Peace out.